what to talk about. I'm going to warn you guys right now, if you're watching this video, there is a high likelihood that 2 more videos are on their way, so stay tuned to the channel. But what are we going to talk about right now? Well, we're going to talk about something that recently came out and has caused a big stink in the gaming community. And what is that? No Man's Sky. Personally, I didn't have a whole hell of a lot of interest in No Man's Sky. When I first saw the big reveal of it, that red planet with like the giant dinosaurs and stuff like that, I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And then the more information I got about it, the less interested I was, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm just not really all that big on monotonous survival, resource gathering, multi-management games. I can play, a survival style, resource management and, building and all that stuff. I can play those types of games, but usually it's just, Minecraft. But, with No Man's Sky, it seems like everybody was either lied to or tricked in regards to what No Man's Sky is. So let's go through real quick and I'll give you guys a rough assumption of what I believe No Man's Sky to be. It is an indie game that was veiled in AAA bullshit coverage. It is a procedurally generated universe. You have a multitude of planets you can visit. You've got, it's a big game. I'll give them that. It's a big game. You've got a multitude of planets you can visit, or wildlife you can categorize and interact with, resources and all kinds of little items you can gather for construction and I'm guessing barter and things like that. I don't think it has multiplayer. I think that was a load of horse shit that he fed us, is that, you can run into other players. It's so impossible because it's so big. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody really playing with anybody else on this, and that would be a reason to play a game like this, is to explore a universe with your friend. I know for a fact that co-op almost always makes everything better, unless it's like a horror game. But, I don't think there's any multiplayer, but it's a huge procedurally generated universe. You gather resources, you name planets and animals, and you explore. And it looks fucking boring. I don't know about you guys, but it looks fucking boring to me. Personally, when I play a game, I like to know what the overall goal of the game is, and I've heard other people, who were researching the game, or, even people like, I think guys at Screw Attack and stuff, like, what's the goal of the game? What is the purpose of the game? And I have to say something real quick. When it comes down to a video game, if your goal is exploration, you failed already. Exploration should never be the point of a game. Exploration is something that we should just inherently have, ingrained into our gamer psyche. We want to explore. We want to know what's down that hallway, what's on this corner of the map. If I go down this dark well or something, will I find items, health, or monsters? That's part of the reason why I play games like the Dark Souls series. I like to explore. I don't play Souls because it's hard. I play it because I like to explore. I like to get into this world that they've created, and I like to check every nook and cranny for monsters, items, weapons, bosses, all kinds of cool stuff. And they typically will give me stuff. But when you make a game and your point of the game is explore, it just feels kind of hollow. Exploring is, to me, it's kind of like a side objective. For instance, let's say any of you were playing some sort of game. I don't even know what example to give you. We're playing some sort of game and we have an objective. We're on a quest and we're going to go fight the big bad. Let's say Skyrim. Skyrim's a good example because there's tons of side shit to do in Skyrim. We're on our quest and we're off to fight something somewhere. But with exploration, it's like, we're traveling and we're like, oh look, a cave. Let's go see what's in the cave. That's what exploration really is. When you have a video game like No Man's Sky where the overarching theme is exploration, it just seems like it's a chore to me at that point. You're not doing it because you're curious of what could be there. You're doing it because it's the only thing to do. And that right there is a problem with No Man's Sky right off the bat. It seems like No Man's Sky has nothing to do. I'm not going to judge, what you like to do in games. Me, I like an objective. I like some sort of overarching thing for me to have to do. And with No Man's Sky, it seems like all there really is to do is look at animals, look at plants, gather some resources, and fucking leave. And that seems really boring to me. Does it seem really boring to you? when it comes down to No Man's Sky's coverage, I think everybody really fucked up on this one. Presenting this game, just because it's on PS4 doesn't mean it's some AAA affair. This is an indie game developed by very few people. And it has an impressive algorithm that allows for these very large procedurally generated environments. But I think the problem with procedurally generated is people forget that just because something is procedurally generated doesn't mean that it's going to always be fully functional and be any good. I would take a handcrafted dozen dungeons or environments or levels over a bajillion procedurally generated anything any day. Because when it comes down to it, there's not going to be as much love and care and compassionate attention paid in something that is procedurally generated. Random number generation is probably one of the most detrimental things that I've seen in gaming, whether it's in level design or whether it's in like your reward system or loot or any of that shit. I don't like random number generation. I don't like things just being shot out of an algorithm. I like for developers and artists to work hard on levels and craft something for me to go through. And that's the first, not the first, but that's one of the big problems with No Man's Sky is if you've seen some of the videos making fun of the randomly generated things, it's quite detrimental to the game's overall coverage. Let's do a jump. When I talk about, handcrafted and loving attention and care, it's the difference between AAA and not AAA. Now, I'm not going to say that everything AAA is immediately better, but when it comes down to crafting an environment that the player wants to go through, I've seen some really impressive environments. Games like the Final Fantasy series, the Witcher series, the Soul series. I've seen everything from high fantasy to drab cityscapes, but when it comes down to it, I much more prefer something that was developed rather than something that was generated. When I see hard work put into an environment that I'm playing through, it makes me appreciate the developer that worked on that. For instance, there's a lot of games where you'll just breeze through an area. Like when you're playing a Souls game, when you're playing a shooter, when you're playing a hack and slash, anything. When you go through an environment, typically what happens is, you'll just breeze through a room. And I'll do that. You'll go through a room and not even think about it. But how many times do you stop and you look at the room? How many times have you been playing a game, you stop and you look at the environment you're in? I do that. These days with these next-gen games, I do that a lot. And the reason I do that is because I've got to scrutinize just about everything. And I don't do that because I'm some typical hater. Like, people think, well, you just hate everything. I don't hate everything. I scrutinize, I nitpick, and I look at the games I'm presented in a critical fashion because I always want these developers to do better. And so when I look at an environment, for instance, I remember when I first got my Xbox One, I was playing, and I know this is a bad example, fucking deal with it. I was playing Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. And I remember a particular mission where I didn't have my gun out, and I was going through like the military camp and everything. And I remember just examining the environment, examining the AI with the characters, like throwing a ball back and forth, examining what the other characters were doing, and examining the detail of the environment. And I find that something like that, like just a Call of Duty environment where you're not doing any shooting, I find that to be infinitely more entertaining to me from an artistic and developer and just a level design standpoint than any random number generator could ever produce some vibrant and silly world. I've seen some of these worlds that were shown to us back when No Man's Sky had not been seen in its final form. Some of these environments that he presented to us, and the thing that pisses me off the most is that the one that was the most pretty and the most entertaining and had those giant dinosaurs with the spikes on their necks and all that stuff, all of that was actually developed. That was not a randomly generated world. They made that to entice you. Lies are not a good thing today. You should not lie to the video game market. You should not fib. You should not falsify anything. I mean, if you had just found a randomly generated planet that looked half as good as that, that would have been infinitely better than lying to us. Do you remember what happened when Randy Pitchford lied about Aliens Colonial Marines? He's still getting his ass chewed out about that. And rightfully so. Fuck Aliens Colonial Marines. But when it comes down to it, when I see this environment matched up against just about every other randomly numbered generated environment and procedurally generated and fucking algorithmed environment, none of them stack up. None of the environments that I've seen in No Man's Sky are even remotely interesting to me. They don't look very good. They're not very graphically impressive, aesthetically impressive. They're banal and boring. And that's the problem I see with randomly generated things. When you take a certain number of aspects, you've got... I'm not a developer by any means, but you've got all these different things that you want in your game, from wildlife, vegetation, rock formation, atmosphere, the very color of the environment. You have all these different things, and you dump them into a big mixing pot. You stir that shit up, and you let whatever come out. When you have something like that, you're going to get variety, I'm sure, but you're not always going to get intelligent design. And that's the thing that bothers me about No Man's Sky. I see these wildly different creatures, but they're all just mix-matched Lego monstrosities. I see these environments that are honestly the exact fucking same, except maybe there's a little bit of different vegetation, maybe there's a different color scheme. And I just find that to be grossly underwhelming compared to what you could have done if you had given us actual designed worlds. Now, these are bad examples, I know, and they're both from Bungie, but take, for instance, Destiny and Halo 5. Take, for instance, Venus from Destiny. That was hand designed. Somebody worked hard on that. From the Kool-Aid pools to the formations of the mountains and everything. That whole area looks really pretty. I think it looks really nice. And in the instance of Halo 5, I don't remember which planet it was, but it was a Master Chief mission. I think the second Master Chief mission, where you're just on this beautiful, lush planet of vegetation, alien wildlife, and fucking enemies trying to shoot you. Those environments are interesting because they were worked hard on by developers. The environments in No Man's Sky were shot out of a number generator. And I think that's the big difference in quality over quantity. Let's do another little... Aside from the random number generation, the lies about what No Man's Sky really was, both in marketing and developer interviews, I think the biggest problem I have with No Man's Sky is really what the game is at its core. It's an indie game, much like Minecraft. But with Minecraft, I feel like I have more freedom and more things to do than No Man's Sky. And I know that's weird to mention that I feel like I have more freedom in a game that is infinitely smaller. I mean, you take for instance the Xbox 360 or the PS3 version of Minecraft. It's a very self-contained, bare-bones version of the Xbox One and PS4 version, which in and of itself is also a very bare-bones, self-contained version of the PC game. PC Minecraft has the ability to go on for a long time. I mean, you can make them worlds big. But when I look at No Man's Sky versus Minecraft, yes, No Man's Sky is bigger, but I don't feel like I have as much to do. I don't feel like I have as much interest there. And that's not because I think Minecraft is better. I like Minecraft. A lot of people don't. That's okay. You know, you have opinions. But when I start up a game of Minecraft, I have a lot of different things I'm thinking about. First and foremost, gathering resources. That's the first thing that you're going to do in No Man's Sky, is gather resources. But what are you doing those resource management gathering for in No Man's Sky? Well, number one, you got to fix your ship, because it busts all the fucking time. You got to fix your ship. You've got to maintain your energy levels. You want to explore, but it doesn't seem like there's a whole hell of a lot to do. With Minecraft, everything I gather is something I can use to build something else. I can use wood in a multitude of things. I can use stone in a multitude of things. I build my own shelter. I build my own towns. I build my own gardens. I build my own weapons and tools in order to fight monsters and further explore. That's the thing with Minecraft. I feel like No Man's Sky would have been better if it had mimicked Minecraft in a way. And in some ways it does, but in some ways it's just very derivative. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, if they released a mod for Minecraft that had spaceships and flying and you go to other planets that look different, I would ask why play No Man's Sky at that point. Because I would think that there would be more to do in that one mod for a different game. But I don't know. Maybe it's unfair to compare to Minecraft. Minecraft is a juggernaut now. Maybe it's unfair to compare. But at the end of the day, that's the thing that I always kept thinking when I saw No Man's Sky. I was like, it's a worse version of Minecraft. It's pretty, it's colorful, and it's big. But at the end of the day, what is there to do? That's the big question. What is there to do in No Man's Sky? You can explore, and you can look at things. I don't think it's worth $60. I think if No Man's Sky were maybe a $15 indie game that wasn't, jerked off with the vehement attention that it's gotten, I think it could have been a little bit more interesting. Take No Man's Sky, I think it's on PC, but take No Man's Sky and have it both on PS4 and Xbox One, knock it down to $15 and make it a digital title. You've got something there. You've got something worth maybe checking out. But at $60, $60 is a lot of money. And I'm waiting, I'm going later today to pick up Deus Ex, Mankind Divided. And I spent $60 on that. I just when I spend $60, I expect a fucking certain amount of content and something to do. I don't play these games to waste time. If I wanted to waste time, I'd play Angry Birds. But I play these games because I want to be invested in the universe. I want to get a story. I want to have fun. No Man's Sky doesn't seem to have much of anything for me to do. I'm so excited for Deus Ex, though. Oh man, it's going to be good. But I want to know what you think. Do you think No Man's Sky is decent? Have you played it? Was it fun? Do you think it's a shameless example of what happens when you overhype and market a game that doesn't deserve any of that merit? Have you played No Man's Sky? Are you going to play No Man's Sky? Or are you going to wait till it's a $15 digital release? Oh man. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of this. If you like No Man's Sky, that's cool. Opinions. It's all good. It's all good. But I want to let you guys know real quick, if you're watching this, there's a possibility of 2 more videos, because I got 2 more things to talk about. And I'll be a little bit more into the next 2 things I talk about, considering I'm going to talk about Metal Gear Solid, or not Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Survive, and Resident Evil 7. It's going to be funny. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you actually want to support me, and if you're one of those people that just dislikes me, hey, or more like that. Go ahead and leave a like or a dislike. Do what you want to do. Take care, everybody.